What's up, guys? Today I wanted to share my thoughts on Star Wars: The Last Jedi. I know this isn't the type of video I normally post on this channel, but to give you guys a little bit of background about myself and the Star Wars franchise, I have seen every Star Wars movie that has come out in my lifetime in the theaters with my father and usually one of my family members, although it was just myself and my father last night. When we were young kids, myself and my brother, he sat us down on the couch and told us to watch these three movies. They're amazing. It was the original three Star Wars movies that came out in the 70s and 80s. So I'm a pretty big fan. And the movie that came out this week, The Last Jedi, has been getting a lot of interesting reaction, both positive and negative, online. And I certainly have a lot of thoughts myself that I wanted to express in this video. When I have something I want to get off my chest, I make a video. So that's what this is going to be, a Star Wars Last Jedi movie thoughts video. It's obviously going to have spoilers in it, so if you don't want the movie to be spoiled, you probably wouldn't be watching this much of the video anyway, but if you're watching, please click off now. We're going to get into the spoilery stuff, and I guess let's get started. So going into this movie, I was really excited because Rian Johnson was directing. He also wrote the entire script. The last movie, Force Awakens, had many people working on the script, and Disney is notorious for stepping in on their own movies and firing directors in the middle of the process and having the script be changed last minute, reshoots, all that stuff. This movie had none of that. Rian Johnson wrote the whole script. He directed one of my favorite sci-fi movies in recent years, Looper. He also directed the best episode of Breaking Bad, Ozymandias. You guys know. It's, the big one. It's a good episode. Rian Johnson has a great background. After I saw the movie, I feel extremely conflicted. I don't know how to feel about it, and I think it's going to take me a couple of weeks to process my feelings about it. After I saw The Force Awakens, I was so hyped about it. I was like, I love this movie. It's so great. The gang's back together. It's awesome. And in retrospect, the movie is more fan service than an actual movie. I don't know if it stands on its own two legs as a movie. So I appreciate that movie, and I like that movie certainly more than the prequels, but I don't know if it bests the original three, and I probably like Rogue One more than I like The Force Awakens. But before I get too into the negatives of this film, I will go into the positives that I wrote down on the Notepad app as I was sitting in the parking lot of the movie theater last night. First positive, and maybe more important than anything else, this is something that I do with my dad. It's something that is a connection to my family, something I love for my youth, and I get a really stupid, huge smile on my face when that scroll pops up on the screen and it gives us the backstory of what's been happening between the last movie and this movie. It's one of my favorite things about Star Wars, and for the first 90 seconds of this movie, I just look like this. Sorry if that's creepy. I thought it was really cool when Luke Skywalker drank alien cow titty milk, and it was kind of green. I hope I can find a picture of that online because that was very interesting. This movie is visually stunning and shot extremely well. Say what you will about the choices Rian Johnson made in the script, but he is an amazing director when it comes to his use of colors, his use of sounds, the choices he makes with the camera. It's amazing. One of my favorite scenes, and one of the maybe three scenes in the movie that got an audible gasp from the audience or an audible reaction, was the scene in the captain's quarters with Snoke where Kylo Ren betrays him and then Kylo and Rey fight the Red Guard, and the sounds in that scene and the red backdrop and everything that's happening was just amazing. Rian Johnson is amazing when it comes to colors and visuals, and I was not expecting to be let down in that regard, and I definitely was not. It was a beautiful movie. I thought the acting was really good. I don't think there's one actor or actress in this film who you can say does not at least pull their weight. And Adam Driver in particular really impressed me. He was great in this film. It seems like he's a controversial figure in some circles of the internet. Maybe not Adam Driver himself, but his character Kylo Ren. You see the critique online that he's an emo character. People don't believe that he's as evil or could be as evil as Darth Vader was, which that's a hell of a standard to live up to. I think he's an amazing actor, and he has to be amazing for this to work. You have to believe in the depths of his confliction, and I do. I know a lot of other people do, but it just seems like there's some people online who are not totally sold on Adam Driver, and that's unfortunate to me because I think he's the best actor in this film, save for Lupita Nyong'o, who is in weird alien makeup and has these weird glasses and has one of the weirder scenes in the film, but maybe I'll get to that part in the criticisms. I also really loved Mark Hamill's acting, and the newcomer, Kelly Marie Tran, I really liked her acting. It seems like she is controversial in the critical circles online when I go on the Star Wars message boards, but I really liked her. I'm glad I didn't make this video last night because I'm looking at my notes right now, and I had this in a thing I hated, but I moved it up to a thing I liked before I recorded this video. The scene with Luke Skywalker and Yoda. So I talked earlier about scenes that got audible reactions from the audience, and Yoda appearing on screen was certainly one of them. There was actually a guy sitting behind me who was about my age, except he was wearing a beanie cap and he reeked of marijuana. And anytime something excited him on the screen, he went, clapped his hands together and rubbed them together in a really erotic, weird way. I don't know. It was interesting to hear that. I knew he was excited whenever I heard coming from behind me. So everyone was excited to see Yoda on screen, as was I. But I put this in a thing I hate immediately after I walked out of the theater because it kind of felt like Yoda was saying fuck you to the audience. He was saying fuck you to the Jedi way. He was saying fuck you to the special Jedi tree. He was saying fuck you to Luke for being a stupid old man on this island, not being helpful to anyone. And then I woke up this morning and thought about it and remembered that while Yoda is an ancient, wise Jedi master, he is also a goofy-looking puppet who did provide a sense of comedic relief in the original 3 movies that came out. And I prefer goofy but still wise Yoda that we saw in the original 3 movies to super serious council leader Yoda that was in the prequels. And his little goofy laugh was that's cool to see that. It looked like the original Yoda in The Last Jedi. So on second thought, I really liked it. But at first, I was a little bit offended walking out of the theater like, damn, Yoda, you just told Luke to suck on your little Jedi balls. That's really messed up. You burnt his tree down. But I liked it. I just didn't like it at first. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly, but I really like seeing Domhnall Gleeson's character, General Hux, get beat up. He has a very punchable face in this film, and I don't want that to be offensive to him. If Domhnall Gleeson watches this video, I think you're a great actor, really liked you in Ex Machina, but your character is a huge douche in this movie, and I like seeing him get force thrown against walls and choked out. It's really funny to me and really entertaining. Last thing in the things I like category is I kind of like the twist ending. And I say kind of because I feel my feelings may change on it over the course of time, but that ending where Luke Skywalker is the only man standing between the rebels and the First Order, and he somehow survives a barrage of AT-AT shots, and Kylo Ren's like, fuck this, I'm gonna go kill him with my lightsaber. Then he tries to kill him with his lightsaber, and it turns out that it was a hologram the whole time. You got trolled, Kylo Ren, wrecked 420 Blaze It. I'm disappointed I didn't see the twist coming, because obviously hologram Luke is the teacher version of Luke that taught Ben Solo, who becomes Kylo Ren. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I just thought that before Luke left his deserted island, he shaved his face. You know, before I'm going to go fight the First Order and survive a barrage of AT-AT shots and do all this cool Jedi Master shit, I might as well trim my beard. I want to look cool for it. That's what I thought in my head. And on second thought, it should have been so obvious that it was a hologram and not actually Luke. He was just stalling for the rebels to escape. And I think it's a really cool Jedi trick to be able to send your hologram places. I've never thought of that. I don't know if that's been used in any other films, but that would be a great way to pick up chicks. I know Luke loves his deserted island. He's living the single life, but if he were to send a hologram to an intergalactic bar somewhere, could he make himself look even younger? Could he be 20-something Luke, picking up hot chicks, and then he brings them back to the deserted island and say, hey, baby, come to my place. I got something to show you. Beautiful ocean view. They get to his weird circular house, and it's like, bam, I'm old Mark Hamill. Just kidding. My younger self picks you up. Do you want to have sex with my older self? I'm still young inside. I'm sorry if this is weird. Either way, cool trick. I say I kind of like the ending because it wasn't the worst possible ending. To me, the worst possible ending would have been Kylo Ren striking Luke down, a la Vader striking down Obi-Wan Kenobi. That would have felt like major fan service, and I would not have been a fan of that if Luke was actually there, obviously. He tried to strike him down. He struck down his hologram, and then Luke died alone on the island like he wanted to. That wasn't the best possible ending, but it wasn't the worst possible ending. I'll talk about what I think the best possible ending would be at the end of the things I didn't like section, which we will get into right now. The first thing I wrote down in the things I didn't like section was that none of the big questions going into this movie were answered. Who is General Snoke and what's his motivation? What happened to the Knights of Ren? They were discussed in this movie. Don't know what happened to them. And who are Rey's parents? Kylo said to Rey that her parents were junk traders who died in, he said, some type of graveyard where poor people go to die or something. I can't remember the exact line, but that could be a lie. So that maybe is a twist for the third movie. And it frustrated me as a viewer. I guess on second thought, I'm glad I didn't make this video last night. I would have hit this point a lot harder. But on second thought, in the original 3 movies, we didn't really know who the Emperor was, and we didn't know his motivations until the prequels came out, and we saw he turned on the Senate and all that stuff. But in the original 3 movies, you didn't know who the Emperor was, and they were still good films. So maybe it shouldn't bother me so much that General Snoke is now dead, and we don't know who he was, why he took power. I would just like a little more backstory there. I want to know where he came from, what happened to his face, why does he look so weird? That felt like such a big mystery in The Force Awakens. And then it's like, well, he takes power and he's got a weird looking face and he's dumb enough to leave a lightsaber next to him when there's another powerful Jedi, a Sith, I guess, in the room, and then he kills him and he's a stupid leader. So, stupid idiot. At least the Emperor felt more intimidating. Snoke felt intimidating, but then when you see how he dies, you're like, that's it. And then, again, don't know what happened to the Knights of Ren. Maybe that'll be a part of the third movie. Don't know if Rey's parents are actually junk traders. Maybe that will be a part of the third film. I left the second film feeling a little bit frustrated. Another big question for me heading into this film was what was going to happen to the character of Leia Organa, played by Carrie Fisher, obviously, who sadly passed away before the movie was done filming. But I did not know how much of the movie she had been in, how much of the movie had been filmed before she passed away heading into the movie. Maybe that was stated in interviews leading up to the movie, but I don't like to read anything about movies I really care about. Before I go to see them, I just want to have my own opinion and see them and enjoy them. So that's what I did with this movie. I didn't think she was going to be in the whole film. I was really shocked by that, and it looked like she was going to be killed off very early on when the First Order fighter pilots shot her. Well, it was like a tease. Kylo Ren's going to kill her. He's going to kill both of his parents. And it looks like he's going to shoot her out of the captain's deck. And then he doesn't. And then 2 of his boys are like, don't worry, we got it, Kylo. Pow, pow, pow! And, kills all of the captains and leaders of the Rebel Alliance. Except Leia's not really dead. She was floating through space. It looked like she was dead. And then somehow she used the Force to float back onto the destroyed Rebel ship, or is it just it's the same ship that she was on, right? And that part wasn't destroyed. I can't totally remember. I didn't like that at all. It was a weird kind of tease, and I thought she was going to die, but then somehow Leia can use the Force, which I don't think has been teased in any other movies other than knowing that she is blood related to one of the most powerful Jedis in the universe, and that one of her sons, or her only son, is a very powerful Sith. So I guess it should make sense, ipso facto, that she has some connection to the Force. And I guess, she kind of can feel Luke across the galaxy. That's a little weird. But it just felt weird. I don't know. Her floating through space and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm coming back to the ship. Open that door for me. It was weird to me. This one probably bothers me the most, even though it's inevitable. I really, really dislike the commercialization of this franchise. Before the movie started and before the preview started, the trailers that precede the movie, every single commercial in the theater was about Star Wars. Get Star Wars augmented reality app. Get the Star Wars Nissan car, which for some reason the car is connected to Star Wars. I don't know. Get the Star Wars this. Get the Star Wars that. You know how there's Rule 34 for porn? Where any character you can think of from any television show or anything in history, there's a porn for it. There's brooms fucking mops porn, if you can think of it. Rule 34, there's probably a porn for it. If you can think of a product that can be sold, there's probably a Star Wars product for that. We should call that Rule 34. There's probably a Star Wars coffee maker. There's probably Star Wars condoms. There's probably Star Wars tortilla chips. Who knows? Star Wars is probably profiting off of it, and Disney, the real evil empire, is probably profiting off of it. I don't mean to say they're evil, but they're definitely an empire. I don't know too much about Disney. Well, I've read a little bit about the history of Disney and building the parks and how they got all the land. It's nutty stuff. But this franchise is so commercialized, I just watch it thinking about how those porgs were put in the film so they could be sold as plush toys. It seems like there are specific decisions made to make more money off the merchandise, and that's true for all films, but it's especially true for Disney-owned films. This is also one of my problems with the Marvel movies, which Disney also owns the rights to. You flip through a Marvel comic book, throw this good guy in the movie, throw this bad guy in the movie. It has the same feel. It has the same sponsored car driving through this fight scene, all of this stuff. They all just feel the same. Thor Ragnarok is kind of an outlier. I guess Ant-Man is kind of an outlier. It seems like they're realizing that all of their movies kind of have the same cookie-cutter formula. None of them are terrible. None of them are super memorable, in my personal opinion. And they're trying to switch it up going forward. That's what I was hoping for with Star Wars The Last Jedi. Rian Johnson, one man with his own ideas and his own script, the same way that Thor Ragnarok, one unique director, one unique script, saw so much success. I was hoping for that with The Last Jedi, and I think that there was still that success, but you could see the corporate greed seeping into the movie with the porgs. The fucking porgs are cute. I understand. But they're supposed to be sold as plushie toys. That's why they're in the movie. I don't know why I got so worked up about that, but every time I saw one, I was just thinking, you money-making cute motherfucker. I got too upset about that. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but I'm just frustrated with the commercialization of this franchise and movies in general, but especially this franchise, because when I think of it, I think of my family and how much joy the movies brought me growing up and seeing it with my family, all these wonderful memories. And it's just so oversaturated now. When I'm going through the produce aisle at fucking Target, there's Star Wars bananas. It's like, oh my God, you don't have to make money on everything. You make so much money. Star Wars is going to exist for so long. Disney has movies planned until 2047 for fucking Star Wars. You don't need to make money off everything. It's so much now. Ugh. Another thing I didn't like, maybe this is a little thing, but I have no idea why Lupita Nyong'o was in these movies if she's not going to be utilized to her fullest extent. In the first film, she felt extremely wasted. First of all, she has all this weird alien makeup on and she wears these huge, weird glasses. I didn't understand her character at all. Speaking of another question that wasn't answered, why did she have Luke's lightsaber? Who knows, but she has it. So here you go, Rey, take it. And then in this film, she felt like a throw-in, like she had a 2-film contract or maybe a 3-film contract, so she's going to be a throw-in in the next one too, and they were stuck on some problem, and they're like, what should we do? I don't know, let's call Maz Jabroni. I just want to make an editing note here and state that the character's last name is actually Kanata. It's Maz Kanata. Maz Jabroni is a comedian. I got that confused because the character is so fucking useless. Which sounds like an Italian chef, but is actually some weird ancient alien woman who is on a phone call in the middle of a battle. I mean, talk about dangerous. I'm not supposed to be on my phone when I'm driving my car, but she could be on her phone when she's fighting people with guns. That's weird. And it's weird that she's in the film at all. Again, Lupita is an amazing actress. I think she's I think she's the only person in this film that's won an Academy Award, but I'm pretty sure Benicio del Toro has, maybe Laura Dern has, maybe I'm forgetting someone. I know Oscar Isaac has at least been nominated. But again, why is she in these films at all if she is not going to be fully utilized? Her character frustrates me in general, and I hate seeing her on screen. I don't hate seeing Lupita on screen. I hate seeing the character on screen, which is a waste of an amazing actress. Last thing I didn't like before I get into the ending and how I think it could have been better, I wish there was a little more sadness and the rebels looked a little more defeated at times. Over the course of this film, it feels like 80% of their forces were taken out. And at the end, they're still happy. They still have hope. Rey is back. We survived. I would like to see a little more crying. Maybe they're supposed to be so focused on the mission, we're just detached from these people and we don't care when they die. And maybe I'm super nitpicking here, but I'd just like to see a little more sadness. And Poe Dameron should be demoted even further for being a huge douche who gets a lot of people killed. He seems like everyone likes him in the Rebels. I would hate him. He is a terrible leader. Get our entire bombing fleet taken out, demoted to captain, should have been demoted to fucking janitor. He should be sweeping the halls with a broom after that. That was a terrible move. All for one dreadnought to get all your bombers taken out. Terrible tactical move. And then with the speed racers leading them across the land, I guess he made a good decision at the end to pull away, but not after 70% of the other speed racers have been taken out. It's like, well, 10 of our friends have been killed. Let's just pull away to safety because I'm Poe Dameron, a huge douche and a terrible leader. That rubs me the wrong way. Let's get into that ending, though. Maybe this is sacrilegious to say this in a video about a Star Wars movie, but I am a big fan of Star Trek in addition to being a big fan of Star Wars. And something I like in the Star Trek universe is something that is not done particularly well in the Star Wars universe. The captain goes down with the fucking ship. The best possible ending to this movie, to me, would have been the character of Leia, the general, the captain of the ship, telling Laura Dern's character to get on the escape pod. I'm the general. I'm going to man this ship, or woman this ship. I'm sorry to get a little sexist there. I'm going to woman this ship and make sure it stays safe while you all escape on the escape pod to this planet. And then when all of those pods are being destroyed and Laura Dern does that heroic act where she goes light speed through that First Order ship, got an audible reaction from the audience. It was a beautifully shot scene. By the way, the use of silence was just breathtaking, amazing. Think of the impact that it would have had if it was Leia doing that. The perfect send-off. One badass final act from the princess. Oh my God, I was just thinking to myself, who cares about Laura Dern? We just met her. She's an amazing actress, but who cares about that character? It would have been so impactful if it was Carrie Fisher, and it would have been the perfect way for her to leave. Oh, just be a hero. That killed me that was the ending, and then you could have still had Luke as the hologram, but Luke would have been on the planet somewhere, and then at the end, the rebels meet up with Luke, and Luke is going to be the new leader of the Rebel Alliance. It just killed me. Oh my God! It killed Laura Dern's character, but I wish that should have been how Carrie went out. Now I don't know what they're going to do in the next movie. Let's talk about the next movie. They're obviously going to time hop. Leia's probably going to die off screen, which isn't how she deserves to go out. She deserved to go out in a badass final way. Rian Johnson is not directing this next movie. I believe J.J. Abrams is going to come back to direct this next movie. And since they liked Rian Johnson's script for this movie, maybe he'll punch up the script, if not help write it directly. I don't know. But there's obviously going to be a time hop. At the end of the movie, you could see that kid in the barn force grab the broom. I thought it was pretty obvious and heavy-handed to show that there are other people who are connected to the Force in the universe. And I can already tell you what the scroll is going to say in the third film in the series. It's going to be like the rebels have gained followers from across the universe. People have come from the Outer Rim to help the rebels, and they've built up their army again. And it's just going to lead into some epic final battle, which will be beautiful and amazing. But again, the ending to this movie could have been better. Very conflicted on how I feel about this film. I'm sorry this video was so long, but I just had to get everything off my chest. I would love to know how you guys felt about the film in the comment section below. Please leave your comments. I would appreciate them. Thank you so much for watching this, and have a great day.